Most people think the US stock market rises because companies grow, GDP increases, or investors feel optimistic. But the truth is far more powerful and far more hidden. Today, I'm going to show you the real engine behind the American stock market, the secret forces that move billions every day, and how smart investors position themselves to profit while everyone else gets left behind. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the US market at a level that the majority of traders will never reach. When you look at the stock market, you see price charts, candlesticks, red days, and green days. But behind all of that, there are four invisible architects shaping the entire financial landscape. First, the Federal Reserve, the master of liquidity. The Fed isn't just some institution. It is the very heartbeat of Wall Street. Its decisions about interest rates, inflation, and liquidity supply create massive waves that can lift entire markets or drag them down instantly. Think about it. When the Fed cuts rates, money floods into stocks. When the Fed tightens, the market suffocates. Most beginners get caught up trading chart patterns. The pros trade liquidity cycles. Next, mega institutions, the giants who move the ocean. I'm talking about BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Together, these three manage over $20 trillion. Let that sink in. They don't just swim in the market. They are the ocean. When they reposition their portfolios by even a tiny 1%, the ripple effects are massive. Understanding institutional flows is far more important than analyzing 10 years of price history. Then we have the high-frequency algorithms, the silent killers. Today, over 70% of US stock market transactions are executed by algorithms. These machines think in nanoseconds. They spot liquidity gaps before a human can even blink. They don't care about emotions. They hunt them. For these machines, fear and greed aren't just feelings. They are data inputs to be exploited. And finally, retail investors, the volatility creators. That's you, me, and millions of others. As a group, retail investors represent the most emotional segment of the market. We create the spikes, the bubbles, the manias, and the crashes. Professionals don't try to fight retail sentiment. They use retail behavior as an opportunity. Now, let's talk about the secret cycle of American markets. The US stock market has a predictable rhythm, a cycle that has repeated for over 100 years. It begins with Phase 1, accumulation. This happens in silence. There is no hype, no breaking news. Smart money is buying slowly and patiently while the public is still fearful from the last crash. Then comes Phase 2, expansion. Liquidity enters the system, company earnings start to rise, and money flows into risk assets like stocks. The market begins a clear upward trend, and the media starts reporting on economic optimism. This leads to Phase 3, euphoria. This is when everyone wants in. Retail investors flood the market. Stocks hit record highs every week. The fear of missing out becomes stronger than logic. Your friends who never talked about stocks are suddenly giving you tips. But right at the peak of this excitement, Phase 4 begins. Distribution. Smart money starts selling into the euphoria, slowly and quietly. They're offloading their shares to the retail investors who are unknowingly buying at the top, holding shares that institutions no longer want. And finally, Phase 5, decline. Bad news starts to appear. Sentiment collapses. The market crashes, and the cycle resets, ready to begin all over again. Just understanding this cycle already puts you ahead of 90% of market participants. So, if you want to actually profit from this, you need three things: Let's call them the 3 pillars of profit. The first pillar is an information advantage. Most people get their news last. Winners analyze the data first. I'm not just talking about headlines. The key metrics include Federal Reserve liquidity flows, corporate buybacks, options market flow, and earnings guidance revisions. This is where the real alpha is found. The second pillar is emotional mastery. The U.S. market doesn't reward the smartest investor. It rewards the one who can stay calm while everyone else is panicking. Your mindset is your greatest weapon. Your discipline is your shield. And the third pillar is long-term positioning with short-term precision. The best investors combine 2 worlds. They have strategic long-term exposure to powerful American companies, but they also make tactical short-term decisions based on these macro cycles. This hybrid approach is what hedge funds use, not amateurs. So what's next? What will drive the next big market moves? The next 5 years in the U.S. market will be shaped by 3 megatrends. First, the artificial intelligence expansion. AI isn't just a sector anymore, it's becoming the new infrastructure of capitalism. Expect massive growth in chips, data centers, cloud processing, automation, and robotics. Second, energy reinvention. The United States is entering a new era of energy dominance. Oil, renewables, nuclear, all of these are transforming at record speed, creating huge opportunities. And third, demographic shifts combined with institutional demand. An aging population needs investment returns, and constant institutional capital inflows create long-term upward pressure on the market. But the road will not be smooth. Volatility will be the price you pay for opportunity. So, how do smart investors play this next market wave? You can't control the market, but you can control your strategy. Here's how the winners position themselves. They stay invested in long-term American innovation. They diversify across large cap, mid cap, and innovative sectors. They monitor those liquidity cycles monthly. They use corrections and dips as buying opportunities. Most importantly, they avoid emotional trading and operate based on data, not headlines. This is how real wealth is built, not in weeks, not through hype, but through decades of consistency. Here's the one truth you must remember. The American stock market is the most powerful machine of wealth creation in history, but it only rewards those who understand how it really works. You now have knowledge that 99% of investors will never access. If this video helped you see the market differently, subscribe to Finance's Metropolis and let's grow your financial intelligence together. Because the market doesn't wait. The next cycle has already started.